Welcome to Touring the AFC South. Welcome back, I should say. Of course, I'm your host, Mike Patton. And of course, we're going to head a little south to Jacksonville. And we're going to talk to Jags beat writer John Reid. How's everything going, man?
Everything going good, man. Everything in the circumstances of covering an 0-2 football team.
Gotcha. Now, definitely has been a few interesting things happen this week, and not necessarily with the team.
Yeah.
Now, I will say that it's been interesting. Definitely listening to a few different things that have been popping up around, like, of course, the Urban Meyer watch. Might as well get to it.
The Urban Meyer watch.
USC fired head coach Clay Helton, and the one name that popped up first, Urban Meyer. He promptly responded that he was not interested, but is he really not interested?
Well, for the moment, he's not interested, but, we got to go through a season, too. I mean, you're probably going to see his name surface a whole lot between now and the end of the college football season. USC is a prestigious job. That's a job that he's, it was one that he spoke about a couple of years ago as one of the ones that he would be interested in going to. But, when you get asked that question in a room with a room full of media in Jacksonville, I mean, what do you think he's going to say? I believe he's got like a 7-year contract, and I don't foresee this expanding. I know national media say, they've been watching his body language, they've been watching a whole lot of things, but from the inside perspective, I don't think that he's going to up and leave and go and take that job in USC. I do believe, but he's been, he's lied before. but I don't think that that's something that's going to pop up where he just all of a sudden leave. My concern is this, man. If they go 0-17 and he feels that, he make his own evaluation of himself and, he feel that he can't be successful in the NFL, then I think that would be something to really dive into after the season. But I really feel he's committed to Jacksonville for at least this season. And I think you have to watch to see what kind of college jobs come open and how well he coaches this team. And if it's a disaster, which, so far is looking like a disaster, then I think you really, really have to reevaluate that after the end of the season.
Gotcha. Now, as far as Urban Meyer with this team, of course, the team has started 0-2. Have you seen any cracks in his demeanor from the beginning of the season and even the preseason to now?
Yeah, I've seen many cracks. The crack that I see is that he really got a up close and personal view that this NFL league is a lot tougher than what he anticipated. I really feel that they made some mistakes personnel wise. And, the bottom line is you can be the greatest coach in the world in the NFL, but if you don't have the talent to match up against the talent that you're facing on Sunday, then you're going to have some issues. And obviously the offensive line, they went on continuity. They didn't go on talent. They got some problems there. They haven't been exposed with a lot of sacks, but, Trevor getting pressured out of the pocket a lot. You look at tight end. He doesn't have any targets going across the middle of the field. And I really feel that, when you start hearing things about, my biggest concern is, like he said today, is having a good locker room. And you start hearing players such as Shaq Griffin after that loss Sunday saying that he personally walked around the locker room and spoke to the guys who had their head down. When you look at a Jaguars franchise right now that's lost 17 games in a row from last season, his demeanor has changed a lot, because I really feel personally, I believe he's a little bit above it. He's got to learn this game. And it's hard for a head coach to come in this league and he's on the job training. They got a situation this week where you play a tough Arizona team and you got to come back 4 days later and then you got to go on the road and play Cincinnati. He's never had that situation in college, how to do it, how to manage the schedule and all those kind of things. And he's a little bit over his head a little bit, to put it quite frankly. And, it's going to be a situation like, what is his demeanor if they 0-6 as opposed to being 0-2? So things are kind of on the bleak side here in Jacksonville.
Gotcha. Now, you did mention Shaq Griffin and going around the locker room with players. Now, that's one part of it. Now, how do you think overall the team is just kind of handling how they started so far?
Well, it's horrible. I mean, let's cut through the chase. I mean, you go to Houston where it was, this team is not projected to win a whole lot this season, but one of the 6 or 7 wins that they might have been projected was going to Houston on opening, on the season opening and beating a Houston team, and they got humiliated. I mean, they couldn't line up correctly. The pre-snap problems, and they had 12 guys in the huddle. They just looked like they were just so disorganized. It was a little better this past week, but the demeanor is that, man, Urban can't afford to lose this team. All the hype and the praise of we got basically a savior coach and he's going to do this. You base all his success in college, never having a losing season, never lost 2 games in a row. And when you come in here now, all that optimism from this fan base from January through to that opening game of the season, it's just like, this team doesn't look any better than the one last season that went 1-15. So there's a lot going on here. He's got to handle the emotions of losing. He's got to handle injuries. Bad decisions from the previous regime. It's a whole lot of things going on here. But, I always say this, Mike, man, in Jacksonville, to me, even when they won in 2017, for the time that I covered the team here, the fan base is at times is too optimistic and at times a little bit too pessimistic, because you got to have reality. You can't go 1-15 and come back and be a playoff team. And that was the conversation here this spring, just on Urban Meyer alone, when these guys didn't go out in free agency and sign a big name tight end or didn't get a big name player other than Shaq Griffin, well, that was kind of like the writing on the wall. This is going to be a rebuilding situation. And the one thing I fought this organization, even since 2018, since that 2017 season, you have to be honest to your fan base, man, because you allow your fan base to believe this and believe that we're going to be this, you're going to be that. You're going to be in for a letdown. And right now, this fan base is in a major letdown. You got a franchise quarterback, but you don't have receivers who can catch. They're dropping passes. You got to work on putting talent around this kid. This kid is a great quarterback, but if you don't have talent around him, he's marginal. He's just another quarterback on a roster. So you got to do roster building, but you also got to tell your fan base that this is not all season, sign a couple of guys on the defensive front and be, playing against Tennessee and team Indiana, the Colts, and being a playoff contending team. And I think that was a misjudgment on the franchise to have these fans thinking that, we're going to turn it around in 1 year. This is probably, in my opinion, about a 3-year rebuild. If he's around, he may not want to stick around. And this is Urban Meyer. He may not want to stick around for a 3-year rebuild. He may not want to stick around if they go 1-16.
Mm-hmm. Right. Going to be interesting to see. Also, going forward, you kind of alluded to it a little bit. How do you expect the team to handle things and the feeling around the team going forward?
Well, they got to win, Mike. That's the bottom line. Winning cures a whole lot. If you go, come on, let's be realistic. Arizona has a lot more talent than Jacksonville has. They got Kyler Murray, they got J.J. Watt, they got Chandler. They got a lot of talent, and they're winning. And if you just go into this game, this is second back-to-back home game, and you just get totally humiliated and embarrassed, then that's not a good thing. Then you turn around 4 days later and go play Cincinnati. And Cincinnati not bad. They're not Arizona talent, but they're not bad. Mm-hmm. And then you looking at being 0-4, and then it's just, I saw this last year. This team went out and won that opening game, and then they lost 15 in a row. And then you got an inexperienced coach, a head coach who, he never lost in his life. It's one thing to win, but it's another thing, how do you handle losing? And I don't know if Urban Meyer knows how to handle losing. I don't know if he can motivate a team that's losing. When you're successful, you can do a whole lot of motivational things out the bag when you see the results of that motivation. When you losing and you're doing this and you're asking the players to do this and do that and you're not seeing success on the other end, I don't know. Urban Meyer never been in this situation before. So that's the problem, in my opinion, right now is how is this team going to handle the emotions of defeat?
Gotcha. Now, the all-important question.
Yep.
If you had to say today, if Urban Meyer is going to be last past one season, what would you say?
Well, I say this, as I said earlier, man. Urban Meyer has never had a losing season in 17 years as a head coach. He's never lost. He never lost back-to-back. I don't believe. He's never lost the first 2 games of a season. He's already done that. I feel that if Urban feels, and he'll do a whole lot of soul searching, but if the Urban feel that he can't turn this program around in a year, he may not be back here for a second year. Everything, when Shad Khan hired him, he hired him to change the culture of this franchise, and if Urban if they go 0-17, I feel that, everything is good if they win 4 or 5 games. I think that's that's better than what they were last season, But if this team finished like 2-win season and all that kind of stuff, I really think you have to monitor whether or not he want to be back for that. I don't think he's in here for a 4-year rebuild and don't see any results after 2-3 seasons. Pride is a wonderful thing, Mike. Pride from a guy who's won everything, in college. And also, when you look at pride, you look at a guy, hey, he don't really need this job. he can go back and go work for Fox Studio and don't even have to deal with that stress, But I really feel that there's a lot of things going on here. I think he thought that Darrell Bevel would be a better play caller. I think defensively wise, 8 quarters, they don't have a takeaway. I thought that he brought in some. He's leaning heavily on guys with the NFL experience as coaches, and there's been some rough conversations in those closed doors. So I think if he doesn't feel that he can turn this around, I don't think he's going to wait 3 years to make that call. So my decision is this: if he doesn't win more than 3 games, then I think you have to really take in consideration, will he stick around after this season? I believe that.
Gotcha. Well, I had the Urban Meyer talk was hot, so I had to come to you, John. I definitely had to come to you and ask us some questions to see what was going on down there and what the feel is down there. I thank you again for coming on, and if you want to tell everyone what you have going on and where they can find you.
Well, you can find me at on Jacksonville.com. I wrote a story about Kyler Murray, and that's on that site right now. And we get an opportunity to speak with Trevor Lawrence on Wednesdays, and just wrote a story about what it takes to improve. What are the things he's got to do? What are the things they got to make him be successful from a play calling standpoint? But you can catch me on John Reid at 64 on Twitter.
Yes, sir. Thank you again for your time. This has been Touring the AFC South with your host, Mike Patton. We're out.